Welcome to TechWiseTV as we continue our Catalyst wireless series with the Embedded Wireless Controller on Catalyst 9100 access points. You know, we recently featured the Catalyst 9800 series, which is the latest iOS XE-based wireless controllers. It's hardware that can handle thousands of access points and multiple thousands of clients. But we also have a show dedicated to the 9800L, which is hardware-based control for smaller deployments. But what if you don't want to deal with a physical controller at all? Can you still get enterprise-grade quality and features? These are great questions. And Rajat Tayal is the product manager for Cisco's Embedded Wireless Controller, and he says it's not only possible, it may be preferable for many of us. Let's talk to him now in the lounge. Well, Rajat, welcome to TechWiseTV.
Thank you, Rob, for having me.
Glad to have you here. Always, when it comes to wireless, we've got some new form factors to talk about, some new ways of doing things. The Embedded Wireless Controller, you're the product manager for this, and I want to make sure that I understand it so all of us can take a look at where this fits. So what is it, first of all?
Yeah, so we have the Catalyst Wireless Controller on the appliances.
Right.
We have the 9800 for private and public cloud.
Okay.
We have 9800 embedded on Cat 9K switches. And now we are introducing 9K embedded on the Catalyst 9100 access points, and that's what we are calling it the Embedded Wireless Controller.
So this has got to be iOS XE and really that flexibility that we've been talking about with that. So I'm assuming that if someone's been studying that deeply, they're probably going to see a really close match, if not identical, to everything here.
Right.
But when we talk embedded, so it's running on an access point, you're saying, and it's specifically it's a 9100. Let's recap for anyone not familiar. The 9100 series is our AX compatible access points, correct?
Right, the Wi-Fi 6
And these all run
points.
iOS XE. They're all under the new Catalyst branding as well to emphasize how big this change is and how positive it is. Does this run on all of those?
Yes. So, you know, we have the 9100 series of 11AX access points, the 9115, the 9117, the 9120. All of these will run Embedded Wireless Controller. Okay. And now we are introducing the 9130 as well, which is our first tri-radio access point, and that is also going to support Embedded Wireless Controller. Okay,
okay, so we can support it on all of those. What about scale when it comes to something like this? How many are we able to go up to in this embedded fashion? Because it seems like there's got to be some processor limitations or something, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when you look at the software features, you know, there is really no difference across the access points. 9115, 17, 20, 30, from a software parity standpoint, they all have the same feature set. Okay. The only difference is actually in the scale. So the 9115 and the 17 have a scale of 50 access points, 1,000 clients in a single deployment, and the 9120 and 30 support 100 APs and 2,000 clients in a single embedded wireless control deployment.
It's actually a pretty healthy scale.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is not something that's just for small offices. You were mentioning to me this notion of this is really focused on distributed enterprise where you've got big offices, you've got small offices, and you've got a lot of different locations. Yep. This really ties into a system. It's not necessarily, although it can be, designed to operate by itself. Can you walk me through maybe a customer example? How are people using this level of technology in real life? Yeah,
so we have designed Embedded Wireless Controller on Catalyst access points for distributed enterprise locations. Okay. So let's take an example of a bank. A bank has a campus and has multiple retail branch locations. So you can deploy a Catalyst 9800 for the campus, but for the retail branch locations, you don't have to put in an appliance hardware. Oh, wow. You can deploy Embedded Wireless Controller on the Cat 9100 access points, and you know there's no additional cost to sort of deploy a controller hardware at each of these retail bank locations.
Very nice. So the hardware is for the scale needed at a headquarter location, but it still all operates as one system. You're not managing a bunch of individual silos whatsoever. It still looks like one system from a management standpoint.
Yeah, so because it is the same Catalyst 9800 family, so from a management standpoint, you know, you can have Dns Center, which is your command and control center. It can manage your campus. It can manage all your remote site locations. But you are running independent controllers at these remote branch locations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the Dns Center, though, which is jumping ahead to management. I'll ask you about that again in a moment, but that's obviously our big management play in terms of here's what we really recommend for complete control. Yeah. But just to make sure I've covered something here, some people may be familiar and say this sounds a lot like Mobility Express. We've had that for years on AirOS, which is a previous operating system for wireless. What happens for someone either running that or running old access points under this new level of system if they want to take advantage of embedded wireless? How does that work?
Yeah, so if the customer has already invested in Mobility Express, now as you may know, Mobility Express was supported on 11AC Wave 2 access points. Right. So if somebody has already invested in that, And if they want to try the new 9100, what they can do is they can migrate over all those access points, 11AC Wave 2 access points, to an embedded wireless controller running on 9100. Okay. So embedded wireless controller running on 9100 is supported on 11AX APs as well as 11AC Wave 2 access points. And
those Wave 2 access points can also still continue to operate within that system as serving up
Absolutely,
clients.
And they will be in client-serving mode. They won't support the embedded wireless controller, but they will be in client-serving mode.
Okay, so we're not losing all value there whatsoever, and there's a nice migration plan.
Yes. So, when customers are looking to migrate, we have a couple of different options. We have a standalone tool, and what they can do is they can export out the Mobility Express configuration, run it through a tool, and the tool will give them a compatible configuration for the embedded wireless controller, which they can import it in, and they'll be up and ready to go.
So you're telling me kind of 3 areas that were really important to understand in terms of what this solution offers: resilience, security, and management. Let's talk about resilience. What would you highlight as a key feature that really says this is resilient?
So resiliency is big when it comes to enterprise deployments. So what we have done on embedded wireless controller is we have an active controller which runs on one of the access points, and then we have a standby controller which runs on a second access point, and they're running simultaneously. Okay. So if the active controllers, for whatever reason, goes down, or the AP that is running the active controller goes down, the standby takes over within a few seconds. So that's one, right? And of course, it's running 9800, which runs iOS XE. So we have the greatness that the iOS XE has, which is about hot and cold patching. So you can, if you find a problem with the controller, instead of upgrading to a new release, you can just apply a hot patch or a cold patch.
We're talking about that modularity of iOS XE, where you can really focus updates into certain areas. You don't have to take the entire system down because you're doing a bug fix or a hot patch or something like that.
Exactly. Okay. And you can stay on the certified version. So let's say it's an enterprise, right? They've certified a given release.
Yeah, the last thing it wants a new update.
Exactly. They don't want to do a full upgrade.
Right.
All they want to do is take a fix for the issue that they have found, so we can push it through a patch. And embedded wireless controller supports that. The second big thing is that you can apply AP service packs and AP device packs. So let's say there is an issue not with the controller, but with the access points, right? You can actually patch an access point via AP service packs. If we introduce a new piece of hardware, a new access point, for example, and you want to onboard them onto your current controller version, you can apply an AP device pack. And that'll allow you to basically onboard the AP. So these are some of the capabilities that are available with 9800. We have made sure that all of these are available with embedded wireless controller as well. All
right, before we jump over to the lab, though, just real quick, so security, you mentioned, is very, very important. A lot of things are enabled by default.
Yes.
Yeah, so give me one example or more that you would highlight for security.
Yeah, so security, as you know, is top of mind for any customer.
Right.
So when it comes to embedded wireless controller, we have features that would secure the device. Right. For example, .1x supplicant on the access point.
Right, so hardware level.
We have security for the clients. So we have integration with Umbrella. We support
DNS level security.
Exactly, DNS level security against all your malicious content and whatnot.
Right, very valuable.
We have, for securing the air, we support features like clean air, rogue, detection, classification, and containment, AVIPs, and things like that.
Oh, nice. So the intrusion prevention and everything like that. So again, a lot of enterprise-grade features.
Absolutely.
Okay, so management. There's also a couple of different ways to look at management. We think of how we onboard, how we set things up, and then control it over time. But also, you were mentioning analytics, right?
Yes. So when you're deploying in the enterprises, even at a branch location, you want to get insights in terms of what is happening at your branch location.
Right.
You want to get insights if you're having client connectivity issues. And you also want to have capability to troubleshoot in case you're having those issues. So like we have with the 9800 and the access points, we have insights and analytics and packet capture capabilities available with DNA assurance. We have the same set of capabilities available with embedded wireless controller. So for example, if you deploy embedded wireless controller at a branch location, you can get all the assurance data, you can get insights in terms of what issues are happening. Dns Center or DNA assurance will give you the remediation for the issues, and you can also get packet captures. If you have onboarding anomalies, the embedded wireless controller running on the APs will also send you the packet captures to Dns Center for troubleshooting purposes.
Wireless experts are cheering right now because that's one of the favorite ways. Just get down to the packet level if you want to really figure out what's going on. Let's see what's in the packet. That's so cool that we can do that in such an easy manner. So Dns Center is really where we want to go from a management perspective. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment, but we're not limited to Dns Center, correct? You can work in this, and you can interoperate with this embedded wireless controller in a couple of different ways?
Yes, you can. So, if you don't have a lot of sites, or if you don't really have an enterprise deployment, but you're looking for a product that gives you those enterprise-grade capabilities, right? So if you just have a few sites, you can deploy it, and we support deployment using the app.
Okay.
You can use the app to manage and monitor. If you don't want to use the app, we do have a full WebUI interface to allow you to do that. Best of all, because we run 9800 and it runs iOS XE, we also have support for programmable interface. So netconf yang, if you're using a third-party tool to sort of talk to the device, get telemetry from the device, all of that is supported.
So structured data sets, we can interoperate with all of that.
So all of that is supported for programmable interface.
That's going to be big for a lot of people. I want to take a look at the management. Can we do that now?
Absolutely. Let's take a walk.
Come with me. So you've obviously got access points here. I don't see a controller.
Because it is running on the access points.
That actually makes complete sense. I didn't know if it was hidden somewhere, just to be sure.
Sure.
So explain why you set this up in this fashion.
Yeah. What we have here is a typical run setup. We don't have a router here, but we have a switch to which the access points are connected.
Okay.
We have a few different flavors of access points here. We have our latest Wi-Fi 6 and 9100 access points. So we have the 9115 and the 9120, and that's a 9115 down there as well. But we also have an 11AC Wave 2 access point, which is a 2800.
Right.
And the setup at the moment is in day 0. It's waiting to be configured.
Okay, so they're just getting power, and they're sitting on the network, but they're not configured for use yet.
Right, they're not yet configured.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the mobile app to configure it. You can use a laptop. It is right now broadcasting provisioning SSID to which you can connect your laptop or a mobile device. But there is an app that you can use to do
show me how.
provisioning.
I was curious about the app thing.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to pick up my phone, and I'm going to go to the app. So this is the mobile app. And when you get to the launch screen, what you need to do is just click on Continue. You have a few different options. The first option is to set up the Wi-Fi network, which is what I'm going to do here. Okay. But let's say it was already set up, right? And you wanted to manage it using the app.
Oh, so you could do that
You
there
can
too.
click on the Manage button.
Okay.
And once you manage it, the list of networks that you're managing would appear under Manage Networks.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's do the setup now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the QR code. So instead of connecting to the provisioning SSID using my Wi-Fi, what I'm going to do is there's actually a QR code at the back of these APs, and I'm going to scan the QR code. And what I'm essentially doing is I'm connecting my device to the provisioning SSID automatically. And that's where the QR code helps us. Once I'm connected, then I can launch the setup wizard to sort of go through the provisioning. Okay. And all I need to do essentially is, give it a admin account and set up the WLANs. That's about it.
So the wizard now allows us to begin the next step in the process.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the screen again. So the wizard is very simple. So I'm connected to the provisioning SSID now, and you can see that I'm actually connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Let's Get Started. And essentially what it is going to do is it is going to bring up the setup wizard. All you need to do is enter the username and password for your management account. Okay. Once you're done that, you create your wireless network, right? You give it the name. Let's say your security type is personal. All you do is you enter the passphrase. And you hit deploy. Once you deploy it, the network will be up and running. So once I'm done entering the information, so I have created the SSID called employee, I've entered the passphrase, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on the deploy button. Okay. Once I hit on deploy, it says, are you sure you want to deploy? Yes, I'm sure. So let's deploy it, and what's going to happen is, within a minute or so, the employee SSID is going to broadcast.
Okay, so the one you assigned. Okay, the one you created.
Correct, the one that I created using the app. There is no reboot, however. So this is one of the things that we took care on the 9100 side. Once you transition from day 0 to day 1, there is no reboot of any access points. You seamlessly transition from day 0 to day 1. Okay. And all the APs that are there will actually connect to the controller. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so where do we go from here?
So, we created the employee SSID. Right. What we can do now is, let's see if the employee SSID is up. It is. I can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and connect my laptop or my MacBook to the employee SSID. Okay. So let's enter the password as Cisco123, which is what I gave. And I'm actually connected. Once I'm connected to the SSID, all I need to do is I need to type in mywifi.cisco.com. I'm going to click on advanced, and I'll just say proceed to my Wi-Fi, proceed to the login interface. So I had given the the controller username password to be admin and Cisco123, right. And that's what I'm actually going to enter here. And when I log in, what I'm going to see is all my access points that you see on the table here. So let's click on the dashboard. And as you can see, I have 4 access points. I have 3 on the table and 1 on top of the switch. Wow. So I've got the 4 access points. And then, of course, I have one network, the employee network that I actually created. And I have a couple of clients. I have my MacBook, and of course, I have my phone that is actually connected to this network as well. So once you log in, you look at the dashboard. The one thing that I would like to highlight here is, the look and feel of the WebUI is pretty much the same as the Catalyst 9800. But what we have done is we have removed all the options or the knobs that are actually not supported for embedded wireless controller. So we have a simplified UI from that point of view. We also have a simple and expert view, something that we had on Mobility Express, and we thought it would be useful here as well. So with simple view, you get a certain
set of options.
Right, yeah. You get limited set of knobs, but with expert view, you pretty much get everything.
But with both, as I understand it, you guys by default already have a lot of security precautions, a lot of best practices that Cisco has built over time. Right. Those are coming on by default because this is meant for enterprise grade. Right?
Correct. So it is enterprise grade, but what we have also done is, let's say for a smaller deployment, right? We have best practices enabled out of the box. Yeah, I like that. And so when you deploy, all of those best practices would be enabled. But we have designed it for enterprises. If you want to fine-tune those knobs, you have them available here as well on the WebUI.
Yeah, I like that.
So let's take a look at the access points. So when I click on the APs, I can see which one is my current AP, which is running the active controller and the standby. And we also have the option to sort of define if I have an AP that I want to fail over to in case there's a failure.
You want to be specific.
Correct, which is what we call it as a preferred master. So as you can see, I have the 2800, and I have the 2 9115s, and then of course I have the 9120, which is right there. So I have all these 4 APs here.
Okay, so you can do everything with a direct connection to it. This is not your only management option, though, right?
This is not just the only management option. I showed you the wireless app. I showed you the WebUI. And I think it's time for me to show you Dns Center. Yeah,
this is the big daddy. This is for managing your full enterprise deployment.
Correct.
Beyond the ability to just connect to directly, you mentioned you covered the app. We've got that for setup, as well as management, you mentioned. We've also got the direct connection, and this is the interface we've been seeing here. But Dns Center is where you really manage everything from a global scale, so to speak, no matter how large your network may be. That's where we're going to get all the goodness. Right,
so let me show you that, Rob. So I'm going to open up a new tab on the browser. I'm going to type in the IP address of my Dns Center that is actually managing embedded wireless controller on the access point networks. All right, so I've logged into the Dns Center, and essentially, of course, you come to the assurance summary dashboard. But what I want to do first is show you the embedded wireless controller, right? So a bunch of devices, ignore what you see on the right. So essentially what I've done here is I have defined a few different branch locations, all running embedded wireless controller. So I have 3 branches, 2 in Milpitas, 1 in San Jose, and they all have embedded wireless controller in them. What I'm going to click on is on the WLC because I want you to see that the embedded wireless controller, which is running on these APs, is recognized as a controller.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I've clicked on the WLCs and I see 3. I see 1 for San Jose branch, and I see 1 each for the Milpitas branches. Yeah. So let me just simplify this a little bit. I'm going to clean this up a little bit so that we don't have to scroll and things like that. All right, let's hit on apply. All right, so I'm going to scroll a bit to the right, and as you can see, the device series here shows that you have Cisco Embedded Wireless Controller, which is running on the Catalyst access points. And it also shows the platforms, the AP models, which is running this controller functionality. So what I'm demonstrating here is that you can actually have a 9800 for your campus, and you can have embedded wireless controller running on all your branch locations, and you can use Dns Center to manage, all of your network.
I like it.
Yeah. Let me quickly click on the assurance page as well. Of course, this is a lab setup. It's got a lot of noise and issues and whatnot. But we also have assurance capabilities here. So I'm going to click on the network health. And of course, on a time series chart, we can see the health of the network coming down a little bit. As you can see, there's a lot of noise and things like that. Let me scroll down a little bit where I can see all of my devices, right? So I see a list of my devices. Let's click on one of them. Let's click on, let's say, the first one. And I'm looking at the device 360 view now, right? So I'm looking at the health of the device. It tells me that it actually went down, perhaps a little while back. Let's scroll down a little bit, and in terms of the physical topology, I can see the controller, the AP, and if I had clients, they would actually show up, under 2.4 or 5 gigahertz on this topology.
Excellent. So I love the health information. And assurance seems to be one of the fastest growing areas in terms of the amount of information, especially on the wireless side, that we can glean and be able to use more intelligently. It feels to me like, if I was to summarize, I would say that you don't have to sacrifice, feature functionality, security, resiliency, or management when it comes to the embedded wireless controller.
Exactly.
And I'm amazed. Once more, the amount of scale that you can get with the 9100 access points, it's going to vary on the smaller access points up to the larger ones, but we're talking up to what, 2,000? 2,000
without
running a physical controller.
Yeah. Yep.
But then when you do run a physical controller, it works in conjunction, so it allows you to scale into certain areas where you don't want to spend extra money on the hardware and go through all that expense, but still treat it as one system. Fair?
Fair.
Incredible stuff. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And guys, thank you for watching. Be sure and check out all the rest of the information on the Catalyst wireless series that we've been doing. It's a lot of great information. iOS XE has totally changed the game for wireless, and it's all to your benefit. Thank you so much for watching TechWiseTV. We'll see you on the next one.